Hi there, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are chiseling and toning into the whole body with particular attention to bum, tum and thighs. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify where you need to, and take a time out by pausing the stream should you need a rest. You ready to work? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set up for today's class in a mini goddess line. So I'd like you to come to standing more or less in the middle of your mat. Open up your legs in a squat line and take it just a little bit narrower than you usually would your goddess. Almost think horse. Tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in, make sure your knees are tracking comfortably over your ankles and float your hands into your little cactus line, your goddess line. Take a big breath in and on the exhale, take a little side stretch to the left, dropping the bottom elbow and stretching overhead with the top. You're going to rinse and repeat side to side, opening up through the ribs really gently. Keep your belly button firmly pulled into center as you start waking up the body. Let's do 2 more sets and then we'll change it up slightly. As you complete the last one and come back to your start position, you're going to float the 2 elbows in towards the midline and come back. At the same time, you're going to give me a little tilt through the pelvis. So side view. You're going to begin with a neutral spine, and then you're going to tilt the pelvis into the 12 o'clock position as if you were bringing your tailbone in towards your belly button every time you float the elbows in towards the midline of the body. Keep that belly button firmly pulled in to center. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, just drop the arms softly at your side and give me a little release into the shoulders. Holding the little goddess line, the legs should be burning just a little bit. And then from here, you're going to heel toe the feet in and you're going to come to a narrow Pilates V. So the heels touching, toes softly splayed out, fingertips comfortably on the hips. You're going to float up onto the toes and then reconnect softly to the floor. So the heels are touching when your feet are on the floor, and as you come up onto the toes, the heels disconnect from each other. This is going to be our little transition as we move between the right and the left side of the body. Let's do 2 more. As you complete your last float, you're going to step out on the right foot and you're going to place the foot just a little bit wider than your hip, toe tapping onto the mat. You're going to lift across the midline of the body and come back to your start position. Tapping out softly on the mat or hovering the toe just off the mat if you can. Try to keep your body nice and stacked on the supportive side. So think shoulder over hip, hip over knee. Give me 2 more, and then we're going to toe tap out to the side. Floating the toe out to the side, almost hiking the hip up softly before tapping softly back onto the mat, or hovering the foot just off the mat if your balance is there today. Just play where you're comfortable. Give me 2 more, then we'll work a modified arabesque, taking the toe out behind you and lifting and lowering the leg. Side view, you're keeping that turnout position on the front leg and you're giving me a nice little squeeze through the glute to lift and lower that leg behind you. Give me 4, 3, 2. As you complete your last one, come back towards the center line and give me up and down on the heels. Look down towards your feet. Make sure that you're gripping the mat with all 10 metatarsals as you come up, and then reconnect with purpose. As your feet reconnect to the mat, find that inner thigh connection and that little pull up from the pelvic floor towards your waistline. Let's rinse and repeat on the other side. Find your step out position, cross over the midline of the body and come back. 8, 7, 6, keep your stack. 4, 3, belly button to spine. Last two. We're going to change it up and we're going to float the leg out to the side. I want that leg to feel really light as it comes up and down. So you're not thumping and dropping the foot back into the mat. It's a controlled, deliberate movement and you're coming back with control. Let's do 4, 3, 2. Last one, we're going to take it out behind us. Lifting and lowering with control. 8. Squeeze that glute. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You're going to bring it back to the middle after your last one. And you're going to float up towards the ceiling and back down again. Bringing it all the way up onto the toes and then reconnecting the heels and finding that inner thigh and that lower abdominal connection as you reconnect to the mat. Give me 3 more and then we'll combine those 3 movements and we'll flow through them with grace. Come back to side 1 and find your step out position. Marry those 3 movements in one flow. So come across the midline of the body, kick out to the side and float back. Draw up across the midline, out to the side and behind you. So you're going to give me up, side, back, up, side, back, up, side, back. Let's do 4 more. 3, 2, last one. You're going to come back to the middle. You're going to find your step out position and you're going to float up onto the toes and then reconnect the heels to the floor. Keep that little tuck of your tailbone. Keep your belly button firmly pulled into center as you're working. All right. Let's do that little combo on side 2. Find your step out position. Float across the midline, out to the side and behind. Up, side, back. Up, side, back. Up, side, back. 6, 5, 4. Keep your stack on the supportive side. 2 more to go. Last one. Shake it out, bring it back to the middle. Float up onto the toes and all the way down. Look down, check that you're gripping the mat with all 10 toes. As you complete your last one, we're going to take a little side lunge and we'll play with the arms. So find that little goalpost frame that you played with in the beginning. With the arms, we're going to play with the goalpost and then you're going to drop your hands down to the floor. So you're just giving me up and down on the arms and you're going to sync that with a little side lunge. So as you step out to the side, you're going to drop your fingertips down towards the floor and you're just giving me a mini lunge. So it's not a full lunge, just a little step out to the side and then come back to your start position, keeping a soft V frame as you come back to the center line. Little scarecrow arms. Keep belly button to spine as you're playing. Let's do 3 more sets to each side, alternating right and left, and then we'll change it up. Last one. Come back to your start position on the mat. With the arms, you're going to give me come to the center line and come back to your start position. You're going to give me a little lunge out to the side. As you come back, tap the toe behind you and bring the arms out in front. You're going to give me 10 on one side first. So lunge to the side, tap the toe behind your lead leg, bringing the arms out into cactus and then bringing the elbows together along the midline of the body. Give me 4, 3, 2, last one. Change sides. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Try and keep those elbows about shoulder height. As you complete the last one, come back towards the midline of the body and open up the feet so that they're in parallel. Give me a soft knee line. Take a big breath in and float both hands either side, to the right, of your head. Then come down across the midline of the body and take a little seat. So almost a modified wood chopper. Push the weight back into your bum and your heels. So as you take the position, don't lean forward with the knees. Push the weight back into your bum and your heels as you come into the squat line. Give me 2 more on this side. Then we're going to work on the diagonal on the other side. Big breath in. Exhale as you sit down. As you bring those hands overhead, give me a nice stretch through the rib cage. 5, 4, bump your bum back so that your knees don't track over the first 2 toes. Last one, we're going to change our orientation on the mat. Give me a parallel stance on the mat. You're going to think warrior 3, little balancing charts. So you're going to stack your feet underneath your hips in parallel, arms soft and relaxed at your side. Coming to a little warrior 3 with a tabletop line, so just floating the hands softly behind you in line with your hips. Think aeroplane. Stay here or tap. The leg that's kicking back, that same hand taps to the floor, and then you come back to your start position. If tapping to the floor is too much for you today, just stay with position 1 and just think of that tabletop line through your back, trying to bring your shoulders and your hips as parallel to the floor as you can. Let's do 1 more on this side, and then we'll change sides. Find a focal point on the wall in front of you and run your eye down that point. Kicking the right leg up behind you. If this feels good, add the little tap. 6, 5, 4. Keep belly button to spine. 2. As you complete the last one, come back to center and float into a little Pilates V. Heels together, toes softly splayed out. Tuck your heel back up. Find a rhythm of your own. Take a big inhale to prepare. Use a full exhalation to peel down, hollowing out through the belly as if you were stretching over a ball. Give me a recovery inhalation, and then use a full exhalation to restack and realign. Using an audible breath pattern really helps you to sync your movement and your breath, and reminds you to keep the breath flowing and not to hold the breath when you're playing on the mat. Often we start concentrating so hard that we forget to keep the breath flowing. Breath is paramount. Without it, you can't feed your muscles. All right, let's do 1 more up and down, and then we'll come into a little sumo squat. So we'll change our orientation on the mat. Think of that goddess line, but open up the legs even wider. Check that you've got your knees stacking over your ankles, and float your hands into prayer, pushing and really connecting the arms, the chest, upper back and shoulders, floating your elbows wide. You're going to pulse up and down 10 times, dropping successfully, or rather progressively is the word I'm looking for, lower towards the ground every time you hit that squat line. Give me 4, 3, keep pushing into those arms. 2, as you complete the last one, end low and give me 10 teeny little pulses as low to the mat as you can. 6, 4, 2, hold as low as you can and float the knees in and out. Think little butterfly fluttering wing. 6, 4, 2, last one, come up and down on the heels together. So all 10 toes pushing into the mat as the heels come off, and don't peel your torso up. So keep that drop as low to the mat as you can. I want you to feel those inner thighs burning and speaking to you. Give me 3, 2, last one. Heel toe in and change your orientation on the mat, finding your way down onto the elbows and setting up an elbow plank, and we'll play it up today. As you drop to the elbows, either keeping your hands palms down or rotate through the forearms so that your palms are looking up to the ceiling, and then step back into your plank. Check your body line. Try and keep your body as parallel to the mat as you can. Stay or play dynamically by lifting one elbow off the mat at a time, almost as if you were presenting a serving tray with food to somebody. You're going to shoot for 10 repetitions. Keep your core braced. As that one arm comes off the mat, you need to give me a subtle shift through the core to hold the position on your current 3 points of contact on the mat. Give me 4, 3, 2, last one. Drop to 4-point kneeling. Tuck the toes under behind you, almost in a relaxed dog, and then hop up, crossing the feet behind you, sitting down on the bum and tipping the weight right off your bum, finding an almost boat-like position with your hands braced on the shins. You're going to open up the body into a soft, wide T-frame, so think wide boat, and then you're going to tuck back to your start position. Big inhale as you open up into T, and a nice big exhale as you tuck back in to your little ball frame. See if you can give me 4 more, and then we'll roll it down. We'll do a little seated roll down, and you may need a little bit of padding for this one. So as you complete your last one, find a seated frame at the front of the mat. If you know that you need a little bit of padding, grab it closer, bring it towards you, and place your padding in position so that it's more or less where your lower back will begin imprinting into as you come down on the mat. Open up your feet hip-width distance apart and float the arms out in front. Take a big breath in to prepare. On the exhale, nod your chin to your chest, round out your spine in C-curve, keep looking towards your belly button, and bring it down slow and controlled, one vertebra at a time, connecting to the mat. Float your hands overhead, but don't quite drop them to the floor. Then look down towards your belly button, root through your feet and your inner thighs and your abs to come back to your start position. All right, let's play. Big breath in to lengthen through the spine. Use a whole exhale to peel down. Keep looking towards your belly button and come down with control. Give me half an inhalation as you come up, and then exhale as you root or lengthen through the heels and the fingertips to almost stretch over your toes. Inhale to peel up. Exhale to come down. Inhale halfway. Exhale to lift and stretch. Big inhale to come up. Exhale to come down. Inhale halfway. Exhale. Lengthen through the fingertips to come up the rest of the way and take a little stretch. Give me 3 more on your own time. Let's do 1 more, and then we'll end in a seated frame, and we'll play it up. Make sure you're using your core to control. As you come up on the last one, just slip your padding out of the way so that it's not in the way. You're going to bring it down onto the elbows. Bend the elbows and check that the elbows are tracking underneath your armpit. Don't collapse your frame. So I want you to push your bosom up towards the ceiling and float the feet so that they're comfortably inside of hip-width distance apart. You're going to lift and hover your feet just off the mat, and then you're going to give me a soft scissoring action with a soft point to the toe, trying to keep your feet hovering off the mat. Exhale every time a foot comes towards your chest, and inhale to transition. You're going to give me 3 more singles, and then we're going to double up. So you're going to give me a double tap, keep those elbows strong. So keep thinking of almost resisting the floor with your elbows and your forearms, trying to keep your chest as high as you can. Last set, we're going to bring it down onto the back and we're going to play with a bridge. Drop the soles of your feet to the mat and scooch down onto the back. Feet and knees hip-width distance apart with a comfortable neutral spine to begin. We're going to work a dynamic bridge and we're going to play with the hands. Make sure that the feet are not too far from the body, so scooch them up closer to your bum. Take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, tilt your pelvis to 12 o'clock, imprint your lower back into the mat, and as you start peeling up through your bridge line, float your hands overhead to rest them on the floor behind you, palm up. Make sure that you pike your hips up nice and high to the ceiling, and then bring it back down with control, sinking your hands to the movement. Big breath in, let's open up. Exhale, bring it down. So we're starting to move the bridge dynamically with our breath. Big breath in. Exhale to come down. Big breath in. Make sure you're syncing your movement. So as you peel up through the spine, you're floating those hands overhead and trying to keep your chin nodded firmly towards your chest. So don't look to the side of the room when you're playing. You don't want to inadvertently tweak the neck. Give me 2 more, and then we'll work a little roll over prep. And we'll just stick to the prep work today. As you come down on your last one, take a little time out in your bridge setup. And you're going to either keep the hands palms down at your side or tuck the hands palms down underneath your bum and almost give me a little diamond shape between the fingers to support your lower back. Or you could just wedge that hand towel underneath your tailbone and your bum if you need a little bit of support. Float your legs softly up to the ceiling at the 90 position. Then this is going to be your midway point for the rollover prep. You're going to drop your toes just behind the 90 line. Then pretend someone's tugging on your toes, bringing you through the center line. Pike your hips up towards the ceiling softly and come back to your start position. Just a little lift of the tailbone. We're just staying with the prep work. So as you lift that tailbone and think of almost trying to tap the ceiling with your toes, I want you to feel a little burning sensation in your lower abdominal area. You're going to shoot for 10 repetitions if you can manage it. If you need a timeout, drop to your bridge setup and just allow the belly to rest. Exhale as you pike those toes up to the ceiling and inhale as you come back to your start position. 2 more, then we're going to transition straight into rolling like a ball. Bend the knees coming into a little tabletop position, bracing on the shins or behind the thighs. Rock the weight up just off your tailbone. And then rinse and repeat the movement, rounding out your spine in a C curve and rolling back as far as your shoulder blades, and then coming up, stopping with the weight just off your tailbone so that you're forced to use your inner thighs and they pull up from the pubic area to hold an almost boat-like balance with the weight just off your tailbone. Give me 2 more, and then we're going to find our way into 4-point kneeling. Come back towards the center line on your mat and ease your way into a 4-point kneeling frame. For this one, you might want to take the hands a little bit wider than shoulder width apart so that you've got a nice grounding through the arms, because we are going to be playing with the legs. Make sure that you've got enough room to extend the legs behind you, so maybe creeping forward on the mat if you need to. Make sure that the fingers are open nice and wide, lots of space between the fingers as you connect to the mat. And check that you're not collapsing your frame. So push the mat away and don't drop the head. Give me a long line through the neck and the spine, and keep your gaze firmly down on the mat between the two hands. Think of squaring up through your shoulders and your hips, and give me a nice straight neutral line position through the spine. Then start extending the left leg behind you and reposition your hands on the mat if you need to, as that leg extends behind you, so that you're not leaning all of your weight into one hand. I want that weight distribution equal on the bent knee and the two hands, with a nice line through the spine. You're going to lift and lower that back leg. Don't pop and rotate through the hip. So keep both of your hip bones looking down towards the mat like a little headline, and keep your belly button firmly pulled in. You're going to give me 3 more. Then we're going to end high, and we're going to start opening through the left hip. So end high with the leg in line with your hip and brace into the heel of the back leg. Toes are looking down towards the mat at this stage. Rotate the foot out to the side. You're going to feel a little opening through the hip bone on the left, and then drop the toes back down to the mat. You're going to do that 10 times. Slowly just opening the toes to the side, almost as if you wanted to hike the hip open, and try to get a sense of whether you still have your weight distribution equal on the two hands. Let's do 3 more, then we'll change sides. As you complete the last one, come back down to the mat, square up through the shoulders, the hips, and give me a long spine. Extend the right leg behind you, and then when you're ready, lift and lower the leg. Don't kick up too high and arch through the back. So you're coming up just about waist height and then back down again, working with control, and you're not thunking that foot into the mat. It's coming down slow and controlled, almost weightlessly, and there's no thump or bump as you tap out. 2 more. We're going to end high, brace into the foot, take the toe out to the side, and then drop the toes back down towards the floor. Keep that brace into the heel nice and strong the whole time. You're going to give me 10 little repetitions. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Come back to the center line. Peel up. You're going to set up a side stretch. So you're just going to be dipping off the center line and coming back. You're going to interlace your hands and make a little fist. And you're going to trace an infinity. So an upside down, not an upside down, a sideways turned figure 8 as you come off the center line. So you're going to find a rhythm of your own. Keep the elbows and the arms soft, and just focus on that release through the wrist line and that softening and relax through the forearms at the same time as you dip off the center line. Give me 2 more. Find your way back to quadruped, your little 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. We're going to play with a little donkey kick, and we're going to focus on glutes. Yeah, let's do it, baby. All right, square up through the shoulders, the hips, and find that long line through the neck and the spine. Lift and hover the left knee off the floor and kick into the heel. Float the whole knee up so that it's in line with your hip, and come back to your start position, hovering the knee just off the floor. Redistribute your hands if you need to. Make sure that you're not leaning all of your weight into one of your arms. You're going to shoot for 10 repetitions. I'm going to call that 5, 4, 3, 2. You're going to end high for me, and you're going to drop your heel in towards the midline of the body, and you're going to float left and right with the heel and the knee. So you're moving parallel to the mat, not up and down, and you should feel a nice little burn into your glute. Moving left to right, right to left. Let's do 3 more, and then we'll change sides. Keep belly button to spine as you play, and come back to your start position on the mat. You're going to repeat your little donkey kick on the right, hovering the knee just off the floor, and then floating your little bent leg, hinging from the hip, as if you wanted to kick your heel to the ceiling behind you. Keep a strong core the whole time and keep pushing the mat strongly away with your hands. Give me 3 more like this. Then we'll end high and take it out to the side. End high. Drop the heel in towards the midline of the body. And then float the whole leg in towards the center line with your knee and your ankle parallel to the mat as you work left to right, right to left. Keep that long line through your spine. Check that you're not dropping the head. Let's do 3 more, then we'll bring it into recovery. Playing with that little side stretch with our little infinity trace through the arms. Give me a long line through your knees and your core. So give me a nice inverted plank as you come off the center line with your body, and just keep the arms soft and relaxed. Focusing on a tiny little trace of a figure 8 through the wrists. All right, we're coming back to that little donkey kick line. Ease your way back to 4-point kneeling on the mat. Square up through the shoulders and the hips. Float the left knee just off the floor. Draw it up to 90, almost bringing it in line with your hip. Think fire hydrant, and then float back to your start position with with the left knee hovering off the mat the whole time. You're going to give me 2 more, then you're going to end high, and we're going to circle. Trace 10 circles forward and 10 back. If tracing 10 in succession is too much for you, do 5 in one direction, 5 in the other, and then come back and do 5 more front and 5 more back. Once you've traced your 10, move in the opposite direction. 8, 6, 4, 2, last one, nice and long through the spine. Keep your core braced. Change sides. Fire hydrant. Lifting and lowering that leg out to the side, keeping the knee bent and keeping that right knee hovering just off the floor. Keep pushing the mat away, nice and strong through the core. Once you've done 10 repetitions, you're going to end high and you're going to begin your circular trace, shooting for 10 forward and 10 back. 6, 'Once you've done 10 traces in one direction, move in the opposite direction or break it up into 4 units of 5. Last one. As you complete the last one, find your little side stretch. Those glutes should be speaking to you. And give me that little infinity trace through the wrists to release the wrist line and the forearms. Keeping that nice, solid, inverted plank as you come off the center line. As you complete your last little side stretch, find your way back into your 4-point kneeling frame and cross the left ankle over the right. You're going to give me 5 knee push-ups. Try to keep the elbows tracking in if you can, so that you're working into the tricep area as you try and drop your chin just off the floor. If this is too hard for you, maybe open up the hands a little bit wider. Allow for the elbows to softly track out. You won't be activating quite as much into the tricep, but you'll still be working arms and chest. So just play where you're comfortable. Once you've done 5 on one side, you're going to change and you're going to move in the opposite direction, either with a wide hand stance or maybe taking it a little bit narrower and working more into the tricep. Once you've done your 5, you're going to find your way onto the belly and we're going to play with a little cobra line. So from your kneeling frame on the mat, gently peel down onto the belly, feet soft and relaxed and parallel behind you, and drop the palms to the mat so that the whole palm is just in front of your shoulder line. We're going to play with a dynamic cobra, and then we'll bring it into extension and we'll challenge the back a little bit by isolating into one side. So what I'd like you to do is drop your forehead to the mat, keep your legs soft and relaxed and parallel, and keep the elbows tracking in. So don't chicken wing, keep the elbows heavy to the floor as we're playing with our little dynamic cobra. Give me a soft brace into your fingertips. Find an imaginary marble underneath your nose. Roll the marble away from you to the front of the mat. Peel up through your cobra, disconnecting the ribs from the mat and stopping with your bottom ribs still connected. Then roll back down. You're going to do that a couple of times dynamically, flowing with movement. So rolling the ball away as you peel up, trying to extend through the mid and the upper back as you come into your baby cobra with the bottom rib still gently connected to the mat. And you're just going to roll that, or rather tuck that ball underneath your nose and roll it away. Playing with a little dynamic baby cobra, just to warm up the back. And as you find that baby cobra line, as you find almost that brace on your bottom rib, I want you to pretend that there's a little string pulling at the crown of your head, and I want you to really extend through the mid and the upper section of your back and your spine. Let's do 2 more, and then we'll bring it into an extended cobra line, and we'll play it up. So as you complete your last dynamic baby cobra and reconnect to the mat, extend the arms out on the mat in front of you, palms down into the mat, hands more or less shoulder width apart. Find that imaginary marble underneath your nose, roll it away from you to the front of the mat and start peeling up. Find your baby cobra line with the bottom rib still connected. Then push softly down into the right arm and float the left arm up in line with your shoulder. Then arc or swim the hand behind you, keeping that arm the whole time about shoulder height, and you're going to try and give me between 5 and 10 floats. Track that arm, so look behind you and then bring it back. So you're looking towards the top of that left hand and you're following the movement with your eyes, bringing your head and your neck along for the journey. Pushing softly down into the palm of the right hand to support your lower back. Keep extending through the neck and the spine from the mid-back towards the ceiling. All right. Come back down to the mat, reconnect, retuck the marble underneath your nose and take a mini time out for about 2 beats. Then rinse and repeat on the other side. Roll the marble away, peel up through the ribs, find your baby cobra line, push softly into the left palm and float the right arm up in line with your shoulder, and then swim or arc the arm behind you and track the movement of that right arm with your eyes. So bring the head and the neck along for the journey. Keep bracing softly into that left palm and keep extending from the mid-back towards the nape of your neck. So give me length through the spine. Come back down to the mat, reconnect and tuck that marble underneath your nose. We're going to come into a full cobra line, and then from the cobra line, we're going to walk back into a camel line. You can transition and come to child between the two if your back is not feeling the joy today. Alrighty, so bend the elbows, place the palms alongside your body. Our hands more or less just in front of the shoulder line. You could even draw it back in line with your chest if you prefer, but keep those elbows tracked in. Find that little marble underneath your nose, roll it away, start peeling up, either stopping in a baby cobra line and holding here, extending from the mid-back, or pushing up and extending softly through the arms, keeping the top of your thighs gently connected to the mat and dropping the shoulders away from your ears, pausing for maybe 5 to 6 seconds, and then walk your hands back towards your knees. Keep the feet soft and relaxed and parallel behind you. Float both hands into your lower back, fingertips looking up to the ceiling, and take a gentle camel stretch here for maybe 10 to 15 seconds. Support your lower back. Check that you're not leaning the weight back in a side stretch. So keep the hips traveling over the knees. Feel those inner thighs working. Feel that strong pull up from the pubic bone towards your waistline, and keep tracking the elbows and the shoulders in towards the midline. Then from here, gently bring it into a tabletop line. So find 4-point kneeling on the mat, and we'll play with a little flow and we'll mix it up. We'll start with a nice flat hand on the mat, and give me a nice tabletop line on the spine with your belly button firmly pulled in as you play. Table, this little table line will be your transition as you flow from one pose to the other. From your long spine and neckline in table, you're going to round out your back in cat. Come back to table. Sit back in a relaxed child with the feet soft and relaxed and parallel behind you. Come back to your table. Bend through the elbows, swooping down onto the mat and coming into a modified up dog with a weight on your knees and your palms. Then push back into table. Exhale to round out in cat. Inhale for table. Exhale to sit back in child. Inhale for table. Exhale to bend through the elbows and swoop forward, coming into a kneeling up dog. Exhale for your table. Stay here or try the same, pushing just onto the fingertips. So lots of strength through the fingers. Round out for cat. Come to table. Sit back in child. Find table. Swoop down. Caterpillar down. Find your modified up dog. Come back to table. Round out in cat. Find table. Sit back in child. Come back to table. Bend through the elbows, caterpillaring down and finding your way into your modified up dog. Let's do one more. Round out in cat. Come to table. Sit back in child. Find table. Swoop down, find your modified up dog, and come back to your tabletop line. Then drop back onto the palms and check that you're nice and squared, weight distribution equal on the hands and the knees. We'll work a dynamic thread the needle. Take a big breath in and float the right arm up to the ceiling. On an exhale, thread the right arm underneath the left armpit, coming to rest on the side of your head. Bump your weight back so that your hips are stacking over the knees, and float back to your start position. We're going to layer this one. Take a big breath in and float the left arm up. On the exhale, thread underneath your right armpit. Check that you're not leaning all the weight into the mat. So push the weight slightly back, stack your hips and your knees. Come back to your start position. Big breath in, float your right arm up. On the exhale, thread underneath your armpit. Stay or float the left arm up and think soft T-frame through the arms. Inhale and come back to center. Big breath in, float the left arm up. On an exhale, thread underneath your right armpit. And as you connect to the floor, open up both arms and think soft T. Keep that belly button firmly pulled in. Come back to center. Big breath in, float your right arm up. Thread underneath the left armpit. Open up into T. And then maybe tuck that hand behind your back, rotating the palm in and reaching for the opposite hip bone, trying to get a nice little twist and opening through the body. Ease your way back to 4-point kneeling and repeat on the left. Big breath in, tuck underneath your right armpit, find your soft T-frame, and then tuck the hand behind your back, rotating the palm in, reaching for the opposite hip bone, getting a nice little stretch, looking up to the ceiling. Find your way back to your 4-point kneel, but float the two knees together and the 2 feet together, and see if you can tuck the toes under. Walking your weight back so you're getting a nice little stretch into the arch of your feet. Keep your current orientation on your mat. You're going to sit up nice and tall with the toes tucked under, feeling that stretch into the arch of your feet. Float the left arm up, bend the elbow and place the hand palm down between the 2 shoulder blades. Then reach overhead with the right hand. Pull the elbow softly in towards the midline of the body and feel that stretch through the tricep area. Stay here or float the right arm underhand and see if you can give me a little bear grip coming into a little cow face bind. Keep the toes tucked under. If the stretch becomes too much, drop down, release onto the tops of your feet. All right, let's change sides. Keeping those toes tucked under the whole time. Make sure all 10 toes are connected to the floor and that your pinky toe is not floating. Take that stretch on the right, placing your hand palm down and then hugging the elbow in towards the midline of the body, staying there or giving me an underhand grip. And keep a little tuck of your tailbone, almost tilting your pelvis to the 12 o'clock position. Then unbind, relax those feet. Come down onto the bridges of your feet. Invert your palms and place the hands palms down onto the mat with your wrist in line with your knees, and just gently lean into the forearms. If this feels good, begin systematically creeping your hands forward. And as you do so, rock the body weight side to side and pause there for a second before you creep up a little bit further on the other side. You should feel quite a lot of work into the carpal tunnel and the forearms. Take those hands as far forward as feels comfortably manageable for your wrist line today. And it might differ day to day, so just see how the arms are feeling. If you were closet texting or typing yesterday, you will feel the stretch. Then find your maximum for today and just hold the stretch with the weight distribution down the center line. Pause there. Then take a big breath in, and on an exhale, come just off center to the right, pausing for maybe 5 seconds. Inhale and come back to center. Exhale, take it just off center to the left, pausing, and then coming back to the center line. Peel up and give me little shooting starburst motions with your hands, making a little fist and then shooting the fingers out just to release any tension in the hands and the wrist. All right, we're going to end off with a little balance. Drop your fingertips to the mat, tuck your toes under. Try to keep your knees and your thighs glued together along the midline of the body, if you can. You're going to come onto the haunches. Find a focal point on the wall in front of you. Check that your toes are gripping the mat, or rather that all 10 toes are gripping the mat, so you're firmly on the balls of your feet. Float your hands to prayer, active prayer, pushing into the palms, using your elbows as little wings. See if you can peel up along the center line, keeping the weight on the toes. Then come down the same way you came up, keeping the knees tracking in towards the center line, and try to do that 5 times. If this is too much for you, maybe just stay on the toes and give me a small bend in the knees, coming down as far as is comfortable for you before floating back up. So just play within your range of motion. However you decide to play, keep your eyes firmly trained on a focal point on the wall in front of you, and just run your eye up and down that point. Keep giving the active prayer. Float your elbows wide. And make sure that you're using your inner thighs and that pull up from your pubis all the way to your sternum to find center. End high, drop to the soles of your feet, and close off your practice. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. Hope you enjoyed today's conditioning class. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Remember to shoot me your comments and to subscribe with your notification bell on. I shall see you all for yoga on the mat tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.